Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Tuesday. It is the 16th day of May 2023. I hope you're safe and healthy today and that your family is safe and healthy and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field who, along with the first responders, are out here saving lives every day, and those that pick up garbage to keep our places clean and disease free, and those that make deliveries of important things that we take for granted, like food and water and mail, for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover the teenagers and the children that are victims of child molestation and pedophilia, the victims of prostitution, child prostitution, pornography and child pornography, human trafficking and sex slavery. Double curses on all those perpetrators of these things. Double curses on all those that profit from these things. And double curses on the perverts that create the demand for these things, of which the other greedy perverts create the supply. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. There are nearly 600,000 men, women, and children homeless in the United States. The numbers are growing, and they're mostly children. Millions around the world in similar or worse conditions, and blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Yesterday we talked about Emmanuel quickly and about the fact that he's really too good to be a sixth man, and about the fact that he has expressed his desire to not continue to be a sixth man. He actually wants to start. And the Knicks cannot give him what he wants because they are committed to one Jalen Brunson for the next 3 years. So now quickly is extension eligible. The Knicks do not have to extend him until 2024. But what many don't understand is it's not Leon Rose's style to hold a player against his will. It's not even good for the team. If Quickly wants to go to another team, and there are, as I mentioned, several teams that would be interested in him as their starting point guard and giving him an extension. If he wants to go to another team because he would like to start, Leon Rose will oblige him. He's not going to hold him because you Knicks fans go crazy. He's going to do what Quickly wants because that's the right thing to do. Not only that, it sends the right message to the league that he's willing to work with what the player wants. Quickly's been very faithful. He's bought into the culture. He's been part of the rebirth of the culture in New York. Work ethic off the chart, studying film, improving on the defensive end as he has, turning into, from what was a really good sixth man into, in my opinion, a starting level point guard in the NBA. So if he wants to go to another team, Leon Rose will oblige him. Okay, because that's how the Knicks roll. Now, if he's willing to stay as the sixth man on the Knicks, then of course the Knicks will sign him. Okay, it's not even about the money with Quickly because he's part of this. He's part of the culture, part of the fabric, and it's up to what Quickly wants. Many of y'all not understand that. Some people still use these stupid terms, getting rid of him. We're not getting rid of anybody. If he chooses to go to another team, because he wants his own team and he wants to start, which again, anybody that's reasonable will understand, then they will oblige him and do that, okay? And as a matter of fact, they would oblige him this summer as opposed to next summer. They could wait because he'd be a restricted free agent and just match whatever anybody asks for. Or they could get the highest bid for him now, okay, before he gets to that point, and get assets back for Quickly because he's worth first round assets. So that I'm not sure what the deal would be with him. I mentioned him in terms of Evan Fournier because I know Fournier, even though I know that even though in aspiring contract year, he's going to be a little bit harder to move because he's a shooting specialist, and teams do want that. But that contract might be onerous for some teams. So we see how that works out, and that I'm wondering if they have to attach that to Quickly to move Fournier. But the Knicks also, as I mentioned, and many of you guys just want to ignore, they don't want to pay the luxury tax. They don't want to pay the luxury tax. No team wants to pay the luxury tax, but teams that are willing to do it are teams that win championships like Golden State. Okay, they're willing to do it because they keep the band together because they're winning chips. The Knicks are not there. This coming season, if they play their cards right, the championship window will open. Okay? If they had reached the Eastern Conference Finals this year, it would open now. But I'm thinking, as I mentioned to you multiple times, this year was just the next stage, year 3. I expected them to be top 6 in the East. They were top 5. I expected 45 wins. They got 47. Okay? And so when they were against the Heat, they were the better team. They just weren't the more experienced team, the more hardened team. They weren't ready. And then they didn't get what they needed to get out of Julius Randle, point blank. If they'd have got 25 and 10 with defense out of an all-NBA Julius Randle, they'd have beat the Heat. But they did not get that. Okay? And this is the second playoff series or second time when the Knicks are in the playoffs and they didn't get what they needed from Julius Randle. So, and what am I saying about Julius Randle? He's a talented ball player. He can play. Obviously, he's All-NBA twice. You got to be top 15 in the league to be All-NBA. And he's an All-Star twice. So he's really could play. But because of his mercurial attitude that you don't know what you're getting night to night, he is not the number 1 option or even the number 2. And it's too late for that to happen on New York. He did not come to New York to be number 2. He came to New York to be the number 1 option. Okay, that's what Steve Mills and Scott Perry went out there and signed him when he was coming out in New Orleans. He came to New York to be the number 1 option. Now he's proven that he could capable of taking over and winning games, but he's also proven he's capable of disappearing in big spots. So he, in my opinion, needs to be on a team where he's the second or third option, and that's understood when he comes in so that he would have a different frame of mind, different frame of game, and then I think he would be a lot better. Same I mentioned with Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. was signed to a $72 million deal, and he was supposed to be the third option behind Carmelo Anthony and Kristaps Porzingis. But what happened is we know Melo declined, Porzingis gets hurt, and Hardaway ended up becoming the number 1 option by default. It did not fit him. And of course, we had a lot of people crying for him to be traded because he wasn't the number 1 option. But when he went to Dallas and he was the second or third option behind Luka and behind like a Brunson, then he thrived because that's his natural spot. Okay, he thrived, and they signed him to an additional $72 million, which was well-deserved for Tim Hardaway Jr. So that's the situation we find ourselves in with Julius Randle. He's not a number 1 option. He's really not even a number 2 option. He really is a number 3 option on a really good playoff team. So, but we'll have to let that play itself out. But that was what we talked about yesterday in terms of Emmanuel Quickley. So, and I really appreciate a lot of the love that y'all have for Quickley. I had love for him too, but you got to be real. I mean, you can't chain him to the bench when he's a starter level player, and he knows that. So a deal could be had this summer. They could wait till next summer, 2024. Wait till the money comes out and see what money you get, and then decide to let him walk. But I tend to think they might do something this summer where they can get some assets for him. So that off the table. Some of y'all said, well, let's start him in place of Grimes. And I just almost choked on myself. I was like, you got to be kidding me. First of all, let's talk about, and that's the subject matter today, one Quentin Grimes. Y'all know I've been on Grimes' high before they drafted him. He was one of the guys I wanted. The only guy two guys I really wanted ahead of Grimes in that draft was Duarte, which I knew we weren't going to get because he shot up the boards, and then Trey Murphy III, who ended up also moving up and going to New Orleans. These are the only 2 guys I had rated ahead of Grimes that year. And so when I saw Duarte off, and I wasn't expecting the Knicks to try to move up to get him, I was hoping we can get Trey Murphy III, but then New Orleans picked him. And so I was really heavy on Quentin Grimes, and I was glad they got him. One of the things people, and some people are, casual fans that really don't know the game would say, Grimes can't shoot. Just like last year, they were saying we needed Evan Fournier above Grimes. Grimes and Deuce McBride are the two best perimeter defenders the Knicks have. Deuce McBride was out of the rotation because Josh Hart was in the rotation. But Quentin Grimes is the only guy that the Knicks had that could guard Jimmy Butler. Quentin Grimes in his second year. The only guy the Knicks had, just turned 23, that could guard Jimmy Butler. A master of footwork, a master veteran, been around forever, and now in the Eastern Conference Final, Quentin Grimes in his second year was the only guy that could guard him. Okay? If you look at, and I'm looking again at Basketball Reference, I'm looking at Basketball Reference, and I was looking at Quentin Grimes' game logs from this season, okay? And what I noticed, of course, the more shots he got, the better he became. Okay, so I was looking first at the number of shots. I was looking at his top 20 games, okay, for the Knicks, top 20. So the most shots he got was 25. He scored 33 in that game. He had 23 shots. He scored 36 in that game. And this is another thing that I found amazing, which I already knew, but I just looked at the stats to confirm what I saw with my eyes. Not only does he score more, you would expect him to score more with more shots, right? Any player is going to score more with more shots, but he got more efficient. Of his top 20 games, right, in terms of scoring, when you look at his scoring, if all of the games where he scored at least 20 points, right, there was 10 games that he scored at least 20 points. In 5 of those games, he didn't even take more than 12 shots. He took 10, 11, 12 shots and get 20 points. That's efficiency. Okay, that's efficiency. Then when you look at in terms of the field goal percentage, in the games in which he scored 20 or more points, okay, in the game, which again, that's 10 games, he scored 20 or more points. His field goal percentage was only below 50. It was 48 in one of those games. Every other game, he was 50, 60% from the field. Okay, so you want this guy to shoot more. People are asking the question, if we trade Randall, if we trade quickly, where are we getting the makeup in production? First, let's talk about Grimes. If you give Grimes quickly and Randall shots, you're going to more than make up the production, okay? But if you was to trade Randall, let's say for Kristaps Porzingis, he averages 25. Okay, so you're not missing nothing. You're not missing nothing. And if you give Grimes more shots, he's going to quickly average 15. This kid's going to get you close 20 a game. Okay? So you're not missing nothing. And you're getting more efficient. I don't think I have to explain to most of y'all that Quickly, as good as he is, was not the most efficient guy. Okay, he's really good when it comes to plus minus and helping the 5 that he's on, the 4 that he's on the floor with become better. Really good. But in terms of shooting efficiency, he's not even in Grimes' atmosphere. I mean, they're not even in the same league. Okay, Grimes is efficient. The more you give him that rock, the more efficient he gets. So let's combine what we have so far. The best perimeter defender on the Knicks, who is probably the most efficient shooter on the Knicks. And you want to start quickly over him? What's wrong with some of y'all? It's like, are you kidding me? So that's not to say Manuel Quickly didn't improve on defense. Oh, he definitely did. Manuel Quickly, like I said, I told y'all in the beginning of the show, he's a starting level point guard in the NBA. Now that's saying something. And who knows, the sky's the limit. He could become an all-star. I believe in Quickly's talent. But this boy right here, when you get a Quentin Grimes, you keep a Quentin Grimes. Okay, you keep him. So now think about this. So now last year in the summer, it was like a question in terms of who was going to be the starting 2 guard, because Tom Thibodeau wasn't saying nothing. I'm glad he wasn't. But even Jalen Brunson didn't really know who was going to be starting beside him. Well, let me tell you something. They know now. And so this summer, imagine now a summer, and you know this is going to happen, where Brunson and Grimes are working together. They're learning where each other's spots is. They're learning where each other's favorite spots, where to get their shots from, where to look for each other. Now they're going to spend the summer doing this. Imagine how that's going to look on opening night. Okay? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one that notices the efficiency of this kid Grimes. Q-Dog can shoot the rock. I told y'all Allen Houston 2.0 with better defense. So now, you have a kid at 23 that can already guard all NBA players. He's already, now in the playoffs, check this out. During the course of the regular season, the Knicks are plus 3.3 with Grimes overall, defensively, offensively. They're almost plus 5 with him offensively when he's on the floor. And they were a little worse. They were 1.4 possession worse when he was on the bench. So, but in the playoffs, they were plus 9 with Quentin Grimes on the floor. Plus 9. That's why he played 48 minutes the game they beat Jimmy Butler in them. Okay? Plus 9. You want this kid on the floor as long as you can. The only question is he's such a hard worker. Just like him and Brunson are a lot alike. Very hard worker. Okay? And so you don't want him to overwork himself like he did last summer and come in and hurt his foot. His foot was sore because he's working so hard. Got to kind of temper him. See, this is what I love about the new Knicks culture. That's part of a program of long-term sustainable winning. People have bought into Tom Thibodeau's conditioning program. They brought into it, and it shows on the floor. He's getting the maximum he can out of these players. Does he always do the rotations that we want? No. Would I like to see Juice McBride get 25 minutes a game? Of course. But you cannot argue with the results. And part of that culture is what I'm talking about here. You got a Jalen Brunson. You got a Quentin Grimes. You got to keep them out the gym. Otherwise, they'll hurt themselves because they work so daggone hard. Okay? So, the Knicks should not have included Quentin Grimes or R.J. Barrett in the trade for Donovan Mitchell. And it showed, obviously. And no, they're not going to put him to the bench so you can start quickly at the 2. Stop it. I guess I got to be easy because some of y'all can't really believe until you see, right? So it's cool. I happen to be able to sometimes see before it happens. And I'm telling you, Quentin Grimes is an all-star 2 guard in the making. Okay? He is Phil Chenier, Allen Houston 2.0. He is in that level of shooter with all NBA level defense. Not only that, the kid is also a tremendous playmaker. And not only that, one of the things I liked about him coming out of the University of Houston, one of the things I noticed, aside from his outstanding defense, technique is flawless on the defensive end. I mean, flawless. But 2 other major things. High IQ. Very high IQ. And also, tremendous rebounder from the 2 guard spot. Now, Josh Hart, yes, he's probably one of the best 2 guard rebounders in the NBA. I mean, we can't argue that. But he's in his prime. He's 28. This dude is right there. And he's only 20. He's turned 23 a week or so ago. He just turned 23. And he's right there. See? He's a tremendous rebounder from the 2 guard spot. Okay? And that's why you get lineups with both of them. And, what you get during the course of a game, you give them a point guard, whether it be Brunson or Deuce in the future. You get him a point guard and you run them 2, even though they small, they do very well together. They got, I don't, in fact, let me look at it because they do very well together, them 2. I mean, the plus minus is probably off the charts for both of them. Let me just check here because with they together, let me just check because Grimes, let me see, let me go with the best 2-man combinations for Grimes here. Again, yep. I'm just telling you, I just saw this now. Grimes and Hart played 261 minutes together. They're plus 20. Let me say that again. Grimes and Hart played 261 minutes together. They're plus 20. Okay? Then Grimes and Quickly, plus 11. Grimes and Robinson, plus 10. Grimes and Randall, plus 4. Grimes and Toppin, +3. Grimes and McBride, +3. The only one he's negative with is Jericho Sims, and I know that wouldn't last if Jericho got more minutes. Everybody, he's one of the few players on the Knicks that everybody he's with is plus. He's plus with them. And y'all want to start quickly instead of him. And this is the thing that kills me. The Knicks, in my view, I really wanted Emmanuel Quickley to be the starter coming into this season, this 22-23 season. I did not want them to sign Jalen Brunson. Okay, and I told y'all that. I did not want them to sign Jalen Brunson because I felt like Grimes and Quickley is the future. Well, they did sign Jalen Brunson. So, and we know that this worked out very well for the Knicks, obviously. Jalen Brunson is a superstar. He's really a snubbed All-NBA dude, right? He should be All-NBA next year because I feel like he's going to come back and he'll be even better next year. But basically what happened, if you want to be honest about it, is you held back Quickley's development as a starter to get Jalen Brunson. So now some of y'all want to hold back Grimes so that Quickley could start. Does that make sense to y'all? Come on, man. So, yeah. So, no, Q-Dog, the Knicks, what you want when you're drafting players, you're looking for a superstar, right? You're looking for a superstar. You hope to get a Kawhi Leonard. You hope to get a Luka Doncic. You hope to get Kevin Durant, that guy, that Giannis, that's 19, 20, 21, that's going to be your cornerstone for 10 years, right? But if you can't get that, what you want is Quentin Grimes, a guy that you can plug in at his position, don't even need to think about trading, don't even need to think about drafting anybody else. That's his spot, locked down. Just think about this. Brunson and Grimes are the backcourt for the next 3 seasons. It is what it is. And the Knicks are in good hands with that, okay? Good hands. So, yeah, I'm very high on Quentin Grimes. His stats back up what I'm saying, okay? His stats back up what I'm saying. It's not just my opinion. We got numbers. In fact, I'll put the Basketball Reference link in the description box for y'all to see. But his shooting numbers are amazing. And he really gets better the more shots you give him. He doesn't become inefficient at 25 shots. He becomes probably, I mean, every player eventually will become inefficient at some point, right? But and I'm not saying he needs 25 shots a game, but I am saying, though, he should be getting at least 16, 17. That could be done in the flow of the offense without even focusing on him. He should get 16, 17 shots a game. You give him 16, 17 shots a game, he's going to average 20 points a game. And it's going to be on high level efficiency. 50% from the field, probably close to 50% from 3. He can really, Quentin Grimes, seriously, he's a 50, 40, 90 guy in the making. That's what he is. He's a 50, 40, 90 guy in the making. We're only talking about him coming into his 3rd season. And you got a guy that's a 50, 40, 90 guy. Potentially. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I believe he will be. I believe he will be as soon as they start giving him them 17 shots a game. Okay? Which brings me back to the trade of Julius Randle. We'll talk more about that later. But for now, y'all need to calm down on Quentin Grimes, man. He's your starting 2 guard. You got one here. You got one. Okay? Just like we got one with Jalen Brunson, we got one with Quentin Grimes. We got one. So any trade talks, and that's why when I look at people on platforms and creating trade scenarios and they include Quentin Grimes, I know they don't know what they're talking about. I know they playing NBA 2K and they have no idea about pro basketball. None. You don't trade Quentin Grimes. You don't. And Leon Rose knows that because he didn't give him up for Donovan Mitchell, did he? No, she didn't give him up for anybody. No. Honestly, and I love RJ Barrett. I'm RJ Hive, but I trade RJ before I trade Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes, in my view, along with Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson, 3 most valuable players on the Knicks. Mitchell Robinson, the defensive anchor, with Quentin Grimes and Jalen Brunson. Okay? So, yeah. We're going to see what happens, but you want to start off with these guys right here. Okay? We could trade Randall. And if you're telling me, we could get Pascal Siakam or KP or, Jeremy Grant, or Mikal Bridges. You telling me we can get one of those guys and we got to trade a Randall or an RJ? Okay, I might do it. But I am not giving up Quentin Grimes. Okay, that's how I am on him. Because he, along with the other two guys I mentioned, are championship pieces. I told y'all I called Mitch Robinson a championship piece his rookie year when they got him in the second round, when he was fouling out all the time. I told y'all he's a championship piece. Now some of y'all can see that he is. He's a championship piece. Yes, he needs to improve in some areas, but I don't know what you guys expect. What, you want to put in computer perfect basketball player and get a perfect guy? Anyway, yes, he's a championship piece along with Brunson, along with Grimes. You want to build around these guys. Now, we'll talk more about the bench because it's the Knicks bench to me that really will put them apart from the rest of the league. This year, the bench didn't perform in the playoffs, but some of y'all really don't understand that Hart came in the middle of the season and they're young bench, right? But let them mature a little bit. Again, this summer is going to be big because whoever is going to be remaining, like if they end up keeping Obi Toppin with Isaiah Hartenstein and Josh Hart, even if Quickly is traded and you put Deuce McBride in there, you're still going to have a hell of a bench. And those guys are going to be better next year than they were this year together. They're going to be better. So, but we still don't know. Obi might get traded. I don't know. We're going to talk more about Obi in another video, but he might. It's 50-50. I don't know. Really, I don't. It depends on how the Knicks brass feels about Julius Randle, really determining Obi's future. Really does. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, yeah, it is what it is. Y'all enjoy your Tuesday. And remember, we ain't trading Q-Dog for nobody. He's one of our championship pieces. You want another ring, New York? You better quit. You better keep Quentin Grimes at your two-guard spot. And don't even think about anybody else coming in there. Sure.